In this video, we're going to be doing a really lovely stretching sequence on the ground to prepare for Savasana. It can be really hard just to plop down into a restorative pose, so I like to add a little bit of movement, mindful movement, to prepare the body to let go, to relax. So all of this is going to be done, as I said, on the ground, lying down. You're going to need a bolster or a bed pillow to go under your knees for Savasana. 2 blocks, if you have those. You could also substitute a stack of books or a thick book, 2 books, and a belt. And if you don't have a yoga strap, you could use maybe a tie from a bathrobe or a necktie if you have one of those hanging around. But we're going to start out lying down. So come down onto your backs. And you'll step your feet mat width apart. If that feels a little too wide for you, they could be slightly narrower, but you're going to have your knees touching and your feet wide. And take your hands, you can place them on your abdomen or even on the tops of your thighs towards your hip creases, but let your upper arms just drop down into the ground. Your choice, you can have the eyes open or you can close your eyes and just start to tune into your breath, to your body. Notice how you're feeling. Notice where your thoughts are taking you. If you need to adjust anything here, you might shift around a little, the arms drop. And just notice if you feel comfortable. Make sure you feel comfortable. Sometimes just the slightest adjustment of the position of the foot or the position of the elbows can make a big difference. Breathing in through your nose, breathing out through your nose. And now take your arms just down by your sides and start to rock your knees side to side. It's up to you how wide you go with the knees, but just letting the knees swing. As you move, you might start to make the movement a little bigger, feeling that spaciousness through the outer thigh and the outer hip. And then start to bring your knees up to center. Step your feet to about hip distance apart, and then straighten your left leg out onto the mat. Bring your right knee into your chest. Just interlace your hands around your knee or your shin, giving the knee a little squeeze into the chest. Okay, then take your left hand onto your left hip. Keep your right hand on your knee. And begin to take some circles with your knee, like you're tracing little circles on the ceiling with your knee. Again, you can go as wide as you'd like to with this, or you can keep the circles fairly small. The wider you go, the more stretch you'll start to get through your outer hip and your inner thigh. And then take those circles around in the opposite direction. Notice if one direction feels a little easier than the other. And then you'll bring your knee back up to center. Step your right foot down towards your inner left thigh. And now open your right knee out to the side. It's like a lying down tree pose. Now, if your knee is lifted, right, or if you feel like you're gripping or holding through your knee, you could grab one of your blocks and bring that under your outer thigh for a little support. Keep your left foot flexed, like imagine you're standing on your foot. Let your front ribs soften, just feeling the natural curves of the spine. And now lift your arms up overhead, reaching your fingertips back behind you like you're coming into tree pose. Reach up a little more through your right hand, through your left hand, lengthening your waist. And if that feels a lot in your shoulders, if taking the arms all the way back doesn't feel so great for you, you can always bring your arms back down by your sides. Good. And on your next breath out, bring your arms down by your sides. Bring your knee up through center. Step your right foot to the ground. Right, and then grab your belt. And you're going to hook your belt under the ball of your right foot. Right, so not lower down, not in the midfoot area, maybe right under the base of the toes. Right, and then you'll start to straighten your leg up. You're not going for the deepest hamstring stretch. So just feeling the point where you start to feel the stretch in the back of the leg, but not pulling or forcing anything. On your next inhalation, take your leg away from you towards the front of your mat. And then as you exhale, move your leg back in towards you. Right? And then inhale, move your leg away. Exhale, move your leg in towards you. Good. Breathe in, take your leg away. Breathing out, moving your leg in towards you. And you might find that as you move here that you do go a little further in towards your chest each time with your leg, but that's not the goal. Just kind of noticing, right, how you feel in the back of the leg. And then do that 2 more times, reaching away, pulling the leg back in, and then pressing your leg away, and then back in. Good. Now take the belt into your right hand, bend your knee, pulling your knee in towards your chest. Doesn't matter how deeply you bend here, right? If you have any tightness in the hip flexors, you might just have a slight bend. Left hand can come onto your hip. And then straighten your leg like we were doing before. Press your leg away from you. And then bend your leg, move your knee back into your chest. Good. And then you'll straighten, press your foot away. And then bend, knee coming towards your chest. Good. One more time. You'll straighten. And then bend. Good. Now straighten your right leg. Bring your left hand to the belt. Take your right arm out to the side. And you'll start to take your leg over to the left. Right? You're going to let your left foot roll with you. Doesn't matter how far you go with your leg. Right? So left toes pointing to the left, right arm out to the side. Right, finding the space through the right hip. And again, the goal is not to have your leg all the way on the ground. If it comes down, that's fine, but think of more the midpoint rather than the deepest stretch. You can look out over your right fingertips. And then lift your leg back up to center. Bend your knee, unhook the belt. So you can lay the belt down to your side. Straighten your right leg out. Just take a moment here to notice your legs. Right? Maybe your right leg feels a little longer now than the left. I know mine does. Good. Now keep your right leg long. Bend your left leg. Right? You'll step your foot to the ground. And then bring your left knee into your chest. Interlace your hands around your left shin. Give the knee a little squeeze. Then take your right hand onto your hip, left hand onto your knee. You'll start to take some circles with your left knee. It can be small circles, they could be wider circles. And then take those circles around in the opposite direction. And then bring your knee back to center. Step your left foot down to the inside of your right thigh and open your knee out to the side for that tree shape. And again, you can grab your block if your knee is lifted or if you feel like there's a lot of strain in the inner thigh to keep the leg where it is, you can take your block under your left outer thigh. Flex your right foot. And if it's okay on your shoulders, you can lift your arms up overhead. And again, if that doesn't feel great for your shoulders, keep your arms down by your sides. Just notice here, right? If you're kind of flaring the ribs up, if you're coming into this big back bend, think actually of softening the ribs, right? Letting the tailbone, the sitting bones actually, sacrum drop. Take one more breath here, see if you can grow a bit longer through the waist. And breath out. Good, then bring your arms down by your sides. Bring your left knee up to center, step your foot to the ground, and then grab your belt, and you'll hook the belt under the ball of your left foot. Again, maybe towards the base of the toes, definitely under the ball of the foot. Then you'll straighten your leg. If it's better for you, you might have a slight bend in the knee. Right? And then take your leg away from you towards the front of the mat as you inhale. Pull your leg in towards you as you exhale. Right? And then breathing in, take your leg away. Breathing out, pull your leg in. Again, then inhale, leg moves away. Exhale, pull your leg in. Good, 2 more times. Inhale and exhale. And then inhale and exhale. Take the belt into your left hand. Bring your right hand onto your hip. Bend your knee. Just pulling your knee into your chest. And then you'll straighten your leg. Move your leg away from you. You bend your leg and move your knee in. And then straighten, press your leg away. Bend and pull your knee in. Good. Straighten and bend. And we'll do that one more time. Straighten and bend. Good. And then straighten your leg. Bring your right hand to the belt. Left arm comes out to the side. And you'll start to cross your leg over to the right. Your right toes will roll with you. Okay? You can look out over your left hand if that's okay on your neck, or you can look up towards the ceiling. Keep pressing out through the sole of your left foot and actually also through the sole of your right foot, like you're standing on your foot. Good. And then lift back up to center. Bend your knee, unhook your belt. You can just place the belt to the side of the mat. So grab one of your blocks. And you're going to take the block on the lowest height, lift your hips up, and place the block under your sacrum. So it's not in the curve of your low back. That's not going to feel so great. It's also not down by your tailbone. That's not going to feel so good either. So right under the sacrum. Right? And take a moment there just to feel the block is in the right spot. If you need to adjust it, you might have to lower it or lift it up slightly. Now take your right ankle and cross your ankle over your left knee. Flex your foot. Now think about moving. You might even take your thumb here, your thumb to the top of your right hip crease, and move your right outer hip away from you. You're not pushing on your knee, right? This movement is coming from the hip. And your choice, you might keep your left foot on the ground, or you're going to lift your left leg up and move your legs in towards you. Right, the closer the legs come in, the more stretch you'll start to feel through the hip and the low back. You could, if you want to, take the hands behind the leg, but you could also have your arms out to the side, so it's a little more of a restorative ankle to knee shape. Keep those right toes pulling back. You can let the left leg hang. And with each breath, maybe the legs come in a little closer towards you, adding in that low back stretch to the hip stretch. And then you're going to slide your right knee so it crosses over the left knee, like you're sitting with your legs crossed. And if you know the pose Gomukhasana, it's the same legs here, Gomukhasana, lying on your back. So the legs might be drifting further away from you. That's less stretch through the hips. Or you might bring the legs closer in towards you. You might even reach around and hold on to your shins. Just like that ankle to knee shape, the closer the legs come in, the more low back stretch you feel here, as well as the hip stretch. And then if you're holding on to your ankles, you can let go of them. Just really carefully step your left foot down to the ground. You can uncross your legs and step your right foot down. And just settle here for a moment before we switch sides. And then take your left ankle, cross your left ankle over your right knee. Just observe the difference here. My left hip is always a little tighter, so I can feel that even here. And you can either stay here, right, keeping the foot on the ground, or you're going to pick your foot up and move your legs in towards you. And then your choice with the hands. I kind of like this version of not using the hands, so if you like that, you can keep the arms by your sides, otherwise interlace the hands behind your right thigh. And then slide your left knee over your right. You've got that cross-legged position again. Right, you might stay here, right, with the knees moving a little further away from you, or you're moving your knees in towards you. Right, perhaps reaching around, holding onto the shins. I'm going to take one more breath here. And if you're holding onto your shins, you can let go of them. Just gently step your right foot down, uncross your ankle and cross your knees rather. And then lift your hips up, slide the block out to the side. Bring your hips down to the ground. Bring your knees into your chest and rock from side to side. And then step your feet down to the ground, and roll over onto your side, and slowly lift yourself up to sit. And we're going to position the bolster to come into Savasana. You could do this from lying down on the ground, but I think it's a bit nicer to come up to sit rather than having to try and lift your knees up and slide the bolster under. Right, so you'll take the bolster under the backs of the knees. Oh, actually, I was going to use the blocks for this. This is a nice version of Savasana. So you have your two blocks. Blocks come just out in front of the bolster. You have your feet on the blocks, right? And then you can lower down onto your forearms and then come all the way down onto the ground. You can have your arms closer to you. You could have your arms further out to the side, or you can rest your hands on your abdomen, or a hand on the heart, hand on the abdomen. Right, and settling in here, so that noticing the effects of that gentle movement on your Savasana practice. Notice how that feels. Feel the points of contact on the ground, right? The back of the head, the shoulders, the hips. Right, the arms, the backs of the hands. Feeling the knees, the backs of the knees supported by the bolster, the heels supported by the block. And take a long breath in through your nose and a long breath out through your nose. And then do that again. Long breath in. And a breath out. Just settling in. If you need to adjust anything, make sure you do that now as we settle into Shavasana. Begin to find your breath again. Reconnect to your body. And start to move through your fingers and your toes, making some small movements. You can spread your fingers wide, try and make a fist, wiggle your toes up and down. And then bend your knees, step your feet onto the bolster. And slowly roll over onto your right side. Just stay there, right? You can make a little pillow for your head with your hand. Then press down into your left palm, right, and slowly come up to sit, head and neck. Last things to come up. So I hope you enjoyed this video going through some mindful movements before coming into Shavasana. You can do any of those movements before you come into any number of restorative poses. It's just nice to have a way of discharging some energy in the body and in the mind before settling into a restorative shape. I'll see you next time.